Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving right into a seriously fascinating historical text called the Jivaka Sutta. We are going to unpack the Buddha's highly nuanced rules around meat eating and ethical consumption. Now, you know this is a topic that still sparks a ton of debate today, but the framework laid out thousands of years ago in this text is incredibly structured and honestly logically rigorous. Here is how we're going to break this down. First, the meat accusation, then allowable and unallowable meat, eating with Brahma Vihara, and finally, the 5 demerits from killing. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The Meat Accusation. We're starting our journey in the ancient city of Rajagaha, specifically in a mango grove belonging to a very famous physician named Jivaka. So, picture this. Jivaka approaches the Buddha. But get this, it is not for medical reasons. He's actually there to address a heavy brewing controversy regarding the monastic diet. There's this massive rumor spreading through the city, and Jivaka needs direct answers.
And this brilliantly illustrates the dramatic tension of the text right from the jump. Jivaka basically point-blank asks if the Buddha is complicit in intentional animal slaughter. He's saying, look, the public thinks you're having animals killed just for your own meals, and that you're perfectly aware of it. It's a huge accusation to level against a teacher of peace, right? Which brings us to a crucial crossroad. How does a philosophy built entirely on non-harming deal with the reality of eating meat offered by other people? I mean, how do you balance the reality of wandering monks who just have to accept whatever is given to them with an absolute prohibition on killing? Section 2. Allowable and unallowable meat. Well, the Buddha doesn't mince words here. He immediately and categorically denies the rumor, stating clearly that anyone spreading this is just straight-up misrepresenting him with falsehoods. But he doesn't just issue a denial. He goes a step further and establishes exactly 3 strict conditions that determine whether meat is allowable or unallowable for a monk to consume.
So here's the core rule. On one hand, meat is absolutely forbidden, completely unallowable. If a monk sees the animal being killed for them, hears that it was killed for them, or even just suspects that the animal was slaughtered specifically to feed them. But on the flip side, it's permissible if none of those 3 conditions are met. If it wasn't seen, wasn't heard, and wasn't suspected to be killed on their behalf, they can accept it. It essentially completely removes the monk from the chain of demand for slaughter.
Moving on to Section 3. Eating with Brahma Vihara. You see, the rules aren't just physical. It's not just about what is physically on the plate, but rather what is going on in the mind. This is where it gets truly fascinating. The Buddha explains that a monk doesn't just wander around looking for food. They actually have to constantly radiate these 4 limitless states: loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity. The text stresses that they project these states in all directions, to all beings, way before they even get an invitation for a meal. Their whole baseline existence has to be rooted in non-harming. So when they are finally invited to eat by a householder, they aren't eating out of craving. There's no excitement about how delicious the food is. They aren't hoping to be invited back. They have to eat without infatuation, with pure mindfulness and total detachment. They are eating simply to sustain the body, clearly recognizing the dangers of worldly attachment. The text calls this eating blameless food, meaning the act of eating itself is completely severed from any roots of malice or greed. Because the monk's mind is free from lust, hate, and delusion, and because they know the meat wasn't killed specifically for them, eating it causes no new harm. It is entirely blameless. Section 4. The 5 demerits from killing. Okay, so the monk might be eating blamelessly under those strict rules, but what about the person who actually does the killing? The Sutta lays out a really stark, logical consequence for the person committing the act on behalf of a holy person. The text maps out this incredibly methodical, 5-step chronological chain of bad karma. It's like a domino effect. It starts with just the first command to go fetch the animal. Step 2, the animal immediately begins to suffer fear and pain as it's led by the neck. Step 3, the direct order to kill. Step 4, the severe pain and distress of the animal actually dying. And finally, Step 5, offering this unallowable meat to the Buddha or his monks. Every single step in this chain generates massive demerits because of the escalating, intentional suffering forced onto the animal. And this is a huge takeaway. It's an absolute rejection of a very common ancient idea. People back then used to think that sacrificing or killing an animal to feed a holy person would bring them great spiritual merit. The Buddha completely flips the script here.
Intentionally killing an animal specifically for him or his disciples brings profound spiritual harm, demerit, not merit. You literally cannot do a bad deed and expect a good karmic result just because of who you're giving it to.
After hearing this brilliant step-by-step logic, Jivaka is just awestruck. He praises the Buddha for illuminating the truth so clearly, comparing it to holding a lamp in the dark so that those with eyes can finally see. And because of this profound clarity, Jivaka immediately takes refuge as a lay follower for the rest of his life.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought. We might not be wandering monks in ancient India, but these ancient guidelines on intention, the origins of what we consume, and the mindset we bring to our own tables, they're incredibly relevant today. So think about it. How do your own intentions and mindfulness shape the true impact of what you consume every single day? Thank you for exploring the Jivaka Sutta with us, and keep questioning the roots of your own daily choices.